Hey everybody, I'm Arnaldo Wofferman, and I'm here with the super awesome
James Keely.
with. If you guys don't know James, he's with ADJ. He does all the software support. He's the one answering all of your questions, which are usually the same question again and again and again and again. But we're hoping that
Yes.
today's live stream is going to clarify a lot of what is MyDMX 3.0, how it works, and most importantly, when and how can you use it. So let me real quick get all this magic stuff here all set up so we can start getting ready to go. Real quick, you'll see you watching. First of all, we appreciate you tuning in. We do ask that you please hold on to all questions. If you ask a question now, we are just not going to see it. So hang on till we say Q&A time, and then you can ask all the stuff. We're going to try to answer as many questions that we saw coming in, plus a few more that are in. James, in a quick sentence or two, tell everybody what MyDMX3 is.
MyDMX 3 is like the next step in the MyDMX series of software. Basically, we took all the feedback that everybody gave us in 2.0 and we added about as much of it as we could into 3.0. There's over 10 or so new features, and there's a lot. There's more. There's about uh, 10 plus really hot requested features and functions, and I think we added pretty much all of them almost.
Absolutely. And we're going to try to cover a lot of those features today. We're going to give you a walkthrough on how the software works. A couple of disclaimers. We are using a lot of bandwidth today. So we're hoping that we can actually do this without there being a bug. But we're going to keep switching back and forth between my computer so you can see some of the basics of MyDMX3. And James has put together just a quick little thing on the 3D to show you how amazing the 3D is. If you have not yet had a chance to look at MyDMX3, honestly, it's the most beautiful DMX software that I've seen. It's a beautiful layout, really clean look. It is miles above MyDMX 2.1 and 2 and 1, and not only how it looks, how it functions, but most importantly, how well everything is organized. The more that we're playing with the software, the more features that we're finding that surprising us, like, hey, we didn't know that was there, or, oh, look, this little thing popped up, which is pretty cool. Because of that,
Right.
MyDMX3 does have a bigger learning curve. It's still a very easy three-step use, like the original MyDMX and MyDMX2 and 2.1. But there are more features that are going to allow the software to grow with you as an LD, not to mention the much more powerful Easy Remote. So let me go ahead and bring up the software here so we can go ahead and start. And we'll kind of discuss about the patch screen. So let's see. Hang on one second. How do the dongles and all that work? If I have my DMX 2.1, how can I use the 3.0 box
If you have
or the software?
MyDMX 2.1,
Sorry, go ahead.
you yeah, you can basically just download the software and it'll work out of the box. The 2.1 interface is practically identical to the 3.0. I mean, chip wise, it's the same thing. It's just we haven't actually started selling a 3.0 box because we just announced it. But the 2.1 software or 2.1 hardware will work with the 3.0 software.
Exactly. Now, what if I have this little guy right here, my buddy? Can I use my buddy with 3.0?
Hi, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
Hi, buddy.
Hello, buddy. So, can I use my buddy? Don't call me buddy, pal. Can I use my buddy with my DMX 3.0?
You can. There is a free 30-day trial, but you will have to pay to even use the express mode for the buddy.
Wait,
The
you
top.
mean that several years of software development and college trained engineers and it's not free labor on their part?
Nope. They
Man.
You know, the monkeys require a lot of bananas. So
They really do. Now,
yes, they do.
of course, this means that the 2.0 box, which is how many years?
Almost five,
5 years. That
five
box
years.
does not work with 3.0, even if you
It
pay for the upgrade.
will not work with 3.0. Sorry.
Now, a lot of you guys may be asking why the 2.0 box, and even the 2.0, while it may cost more in the buddy, why does that not support MyDMX streaming softwares, right? Not necessarily. For those of you guys that don't quite know, the reason Buddy is revolutionary when it first came out is because it uses a different chipset. This chipset is firmware upgradable. So as new softwares come out that require new chipsets, you can upgrade the Buddy just with a simple firmware update. That's why you were able to go in there and get the update for extra DMX channels or standalone, or of course using 3.0. 2.0 does not have, the box does not have that chipset. But it's more about just whether the chipset is there or not. It's also the CPU. While you may have a really, really powerful computer or a weak computer, you may notice that MyDMX will still perform flawlessly as far as converting your computer signals, all those ones and zeros, into DMX control. Your CPU does not do that. That's the actual box. That means a more powerful software that has more features and has things like queue stacking, which does MyDMX 3.0 have queue stacking?
Uh, yeah, it does.
So
Yes.
when you have powerful features like that, guys, a box with a slower clock will not work as well as something with a faster processor, such as the Buddy. Now, somebody had posted a question saying, well, the Buddy's so much smaller. How does it have a much more powerful processor? Well, in the same way that this iPhone has a more powerful processor than a computer from 5 years ago. So,
I think my new one beats yours. So.
well, on November 11th, my iPhone's going to beat yours. And about a year from now, Apple's going to release some iPhone without any ports whatsoever, maybe not even a screen.
Anyways.
So, anyways. No, some Mad Monkey says all he sees is the announcement slide. Yeah, you should hit the play button. You should definitely be seeing the whole thing. So, anyways, you may need to refresh real quick. Let me tell him to refresh. So that being said, let's recap.
The video,
Two-
but I'm gonna mute the audio.
2.1 and 3.0 boxes are pretty much the same. If you look at the boxes, they do have some really cool features. James, I know they have the buttons so you can do them in standalone mode, correct?
For the Buddy?
Yeah, no, for the actual 3.0 box.
Oh, yes.
And the 2.1 box. The box has it actually tells you, if the DMX is hooked up properly or not. And then, of course, you also have a bunch of little pins. Do you want to explain to them what the pins are for and what you can do with those pins?
Well, they're not enabled by default. That is another separate purchase that you can upgrade to in the store for the interface. It's like 20, 30 bucks, something like that. And what those are HE10 dry contact closure pins. So it's kind of like it's almost kind of like assigning a scene to a dip switch number, but through low voltage wires and buttons and stuff that you can buy from like eBay or Amazon or whatever. I've never actually done it myself, but that's what it's for.
Exactly. Starvin Artist again asked what difference between 2.1 and 3.0 is. Absolutely nothing, except the 2.1 comes with the 2.1 software, and you pay the upgrade fee to get to 3.0. The 3.0 box is basically 2.1, except it has the added cost of MyDMX. Ultimately, you still pay the same. Get 2.1 now. It runs 3.0. The hardware is the same. The box is the same. It has your pins. It's pretty much identical. When they released 2.1, and I'll give you guys some insider info because I'm not sure we're supposed to share it, but I can't because I'm the news. 2.0 has been discontinued for a long time, and ADJ has not had this in stock. James, we've had this confirmed for a while, right?
Yeah,
So-
I know for sure we didn't have stock at the beginning of this year, and maybe before that.
Exactly. Once dealers were coming up to ADJ and saying, yo, we need to sell some more boxes. Where's your boxes at? The software wasn't ready yet. So they released a 2.1 box, which is basically a 3.0 box, but you couldn't call it a 3.0 box because surprises are being given away. So pretty much a 2.1 and a 3.0 are the same, except the software that it's bundled with. Hopefully that clears that up. I want to go back to the contact pins because, you know, I use it. Actually, I have my little CompuShell box here from our sister company, Elation. And guys, this is pretty much what the pins look like. The way that it works is you have a ground, or well, you have a 5-volt rail or whatever it is, and then you have multiple ground pins. So if we assign scene 1 to pin 1, let's say that, when these two pins short out, that activates scene 1. Correct, James?
Button. Yeah.
Exactly. So what this means is that you can basically buy any connector that, you know, will fit in this, and this is a standard. So you buy the connector that fits in, and you can wire this to whatever you want. You can make your own controllers if you choose to do so. This means that if you
for installs, anywhere.
Exactly, not just installs, but musicians too. Imagine if you're a drummer and you put, you know, attenuation switch. So every time you bang on that drum, shorts out that pin. And now you can have lights going along with it. There's definitely a lot of possibilities you can do. Skating rinks, you know, I remember, my goodness, when I worked at a skating rink, we just had these ghetto relay switches. You know, something like this makes it a lot easier because it prevents the DJ or the house people from messing with the actual light programs. You can tuck the computer, put it away, run that contact box way on the other side, and you are pretty much good to go. We'll talk about remote options and all that in just a little bit as well. So, let's go ahead and launch the software. Here we go. Again, we've got the MyDMX 3.0 software, and it looks absolutely stunning. Much cleaner, much better organized, and I am personally ADHD, so I like to be able to see everything at the same time. So I do like the fact of how clean this looks. So, James, what happens when I click this little plus? I see Universe 2. What does that mean?
It means that you can now use multiple universes in MyDMX 3.0.
Without having to launch multiple softwares or having multiple computers?
Exactly.
Oh.
Just need multiple interfaces.
Can I mix and match? Could I use my Buddy and a 2.1 and a 3.0 box?
You should be able to, yes.
All right. So how do we do that? Well, we go to MyDMX menu and we go to Preferences. All right. And this little window pops up here. On devices, you'll actually see my Buddy. And as we add individual universes or boxes, we can assign it to the universes. Or, as it happened for James at LDI, the boxes will assign themselves automatically. So that makes it much easier there.
But you should still check in Preferences, just in case.
Absolutely, because you don't want to mess your stuff up, guys. So, Oscar says his 2.0 is basically crap. No, it isn't. 2.0 does exactly what you expected it to do when you bought it.
Still works, man.
Yep, still works. And James, are we done with software updates for 2.0, or will there still be bug fixes if anything comes up?
We've transitioned to 2.1, and we just added the same 3D viewer that you see in 3.0 to 2.1. And I mean, I really don't know. I can't say for sure if we'll be adding any new features to 2.1 software or not, but we are still working on it. We're still fixing bugs for it. We're still, looking at bug reports from it for the 3D, all that stuff. So it's not a dead product or software by any means at all. In fact, I mean, we still will fully support it because when you buy the 2.1 interface or the 3.0 interface, you get the full version of 2.1 software to work with it as well. So you get kind of like two packages for one when you're buying these new interfaces.
Well, fantastic. So then that means that if I have the 2.0 box, I can still run the 2.1 with the new 3D.
Yep.
All right. So there you have it, folks. Okay. So now let's go ahead and go into our patch. I'm just going to stick with one universe for now. And we have a couple different options here. I know the import button, right? If I get a scene or a new light and the light is not here, I can go to the MyDMX user discussion group and I can be like, James, I need you to make a profile. But James,
it's 3 a.m. Can you wait till I wake up?
But James, we have a cloud full of profiles. Is there a really easy way to just download the profiles from the cloud instead of having to bug you every time? I mean, after all, you have those profiles for the lights made months before the lights are ever announced. So how can we access your hard drive full of amazing goodie profiles?
Well, I have a Dropbox account. There's also a cloud search built into the program. Same as on 2.1. There's a cloud search.
So if I want to update the library, do I have to update the entire software, or can I just click a magic button?
You can just click the import button to add it magically to a imported folder.
Ooh, or I have the download more fixtures. So you can actually click that and you'll get a little window that pops up that says downloading more or downloading new fixture profiles. And guys, this is very important to know because obviously James makes these profiles way in advance. Plus the developers make some profiles as well. So this way you'll always have your library up to date. If you have an issue with a profile, you can always download the new profile that way. Or if you make a profile or somebody makes it for you, you can click. So let's go ahead and let's say that I have, let me close this for a second. Let's say I bought some 12Ps. Those are some of my favorite lights right now. Just like the original MyDMX, I can actually click here and I'm on mode 4 and it shows me 12 channels. If I click on mode 3, it shows me 8 channels. So if I click on mode 3 and it shows me the 8 channels, I can go ahead and assign it where I can tell the first DMX channel. I'm going to tell it I have 4 of the 12Ps. And then we have on DMX Universe 1. James, what is the index number?
The index number is kind of like the unique fixture ID number. So if you already have 4 lights patched in and your next one is going to be number 5, it kind of like it's a reference point for the software and the effects engine to know in which order to play stuff back when you make an effect or stuff like that. So it's just something for the computer to do a little bit.
Fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and click on patch and they're going to magically appear. Wow, look at that. Now, one of the things that real quick, I just want to tell you guys from the developer and the geeky side of things, MyDMX really takes advantage of a lot of animation technologies, whether it's DirectX, OpenGL, Coco, whatever magic that they're using, even Metal. You'll notice that when we just patched it, there's actually animations. It's much more fluid, but at the same time, it takes less system resources than MyDMX 2 will. I actually, before we did this live stream, I was running both side by side, and MyDMX 3 definitely took a lot less resources to do certain tasks than 2.0 did. So that's pretty exciting. However, DJs, this does not mean to run it on a computer from 10 years ago. Please treat your business well and get yourself a good computer.
Mac OS 10.10 or above for 3.0.
Yes, and
not 10.7, not 10.8, not 10.9, 10.10.
And guys, that's not a developer thing. That is simply OpenGL. These latest operating systems, particularly Sierra, uses the latest OpenGL. That is very important because the older OpenGL did have a lot of limitations and also sucked up system resources like crazy. If you don't believe me, try doing 3D rendering on Mavericks or El Capitan. It was just, or excuse me, Yosemite or El Capitan. It was a nightmare. The newest OpenGL in Sierra, plus the addition of Metal and coding by Swift, really makes things easier. But because of that, the software is not backwards compatible. That's just a little insider info for everybody there.
I'm sure you could blame OpenGL for a lot of the issues.
Yeah, no kidding. So, just like the original, and one of the things that I like, James, that even though this was built pretty much from the ground up, they kept a lot of the original things that made MyDMX 2 so great. I can right-click and I can color organize. So I'm just going to select blue for my hex 5Ps. Then they are there. I can rename the fixture, so I can call it front of house, back of house. And then if you are still using lights that use dip switches, why? You can actually see your dip switch combination up here on the upper right-hand corner. We're going to go ahead and load a moving head. James, have you played with the new Focus Spot 3Zs?
I played with all of them at LBI.
Aren't
they, I want all of them.
Oh, they are absolutely stunning. And, you know, my favorite moving head for the longest time when it comes bang to the buck was the InnoSpot Pro. But the 2 and the 3 on the Focus Spot series are incredible.
The colors are just amazing.
They really did. The quality of that glass is just great. But the dual gobo wheel, not to mention that even though the obviously one wheel is fixed gobos, but they picked some great gobos that's going to allow us to do a lot of great stuff like, you know, water or fire type animation. So I'm definitely excited about that one. And if you guys are watching this, if you own one of the Focus Spot series, let us know in the comments below. So we're going to go ahead and open up the Focus Spot 3Z. All right, and again, I'm going to see the 21 channels or the 18 channels, and it automatically patched itself with the first DMX channel at 33, and we have 4. of the Focus Spot 3Zs because I made it rain at DJ Expo. There it is right there. And now I can actually grab them over here. So I've got all 4 of them. I'm just going to separate them a little bit. One of the nice things about MyDMX that other software does not do is that right away, as soon as you patch a light, you can quickly grab it. Like for example, I have these lights right here. And I can grab them on the spot to test the light to make sure that the actual profile works. If I made my own profile, because I always manage to screw up profiles, or I can just make sure the light is responding to DMX. So that's very similar to the original MyDMX. On the bottom tab here, we've got a couple different options. We have our general. And James, can you tell the audience what general is?
The general tab allows you to select all of your fixtures at once, turn them on, and adjust the pan and tilt, and also you can go to the palette part and go to the color wheel, and if your fixture profile is made right, you can move the color wheel and it'll actually turn the colors on the color wheels. So it's pretty cool. Not really color mixing, but it's close. Yeah.
I'll actually we're gonna do that for a second on the next screen here. We're gonna go to edit. So we're gonna go to the first scene, and on the first part here we see groups. James, what are groups?
Groups are a way to quickly select your fixtures and in the certain order that you want. They're just like a faster way to grab your fixtures and then instantly gain control of them.
Okay, so I have here where I made, I can't even write today. So I made one that says Arnaldo scenes and then James scenes. So I could literally have scenes that would be like, for example, slow scenes or fast scenes, or I could even do color chases, pan and tilt chases. Can I stack these?
Yeah, that's kind of the point between groups even too.
That's exciting. Now, somebody said something on the group, and I know we've been talking back and forth about this, about a limitation on stacking. How many scenes can I stack at the same time? Is it only 4, or how many total?
I don't know of any limit. Initially, we had 4 on the website. That was just a small miscommunication between myself and one of the guys on marketing and stuff. But we cleared that up. We tested it, and you can stack pretty much as many scenes together as you want.
So there you have it, guys. So let's go ahead I want to go ahead and open one of these scenes here. So we're going to have a scene, and I want to kind of go over the color wheel because there's something MyDMX has that I haven't seen many people that, have this. So very first thing is on the properties, you have where you can actually color your scene. So you can have it yellow, green, just, for your own color coordination. This here basically says hide in live. If that's activated, and that's active there when you see the eye, it disappears from live. So you don't see that particular scene in live. We can actually tell it how many times to loop, and if you want the scene to stay active at the end of the loops, or release, meaning shut off. We have flash mode, so you can do strobes. You can basically have bump buttons if you wanted to. And of course, fade, where you can have the scene fade in, fade out. Trigger, so you can trigger via keyboard. You can trigger via DMX. You can trigger via keyboard mapping. We're going to go over DMX trigger in just a moment. And you can also do your port mapping, which we covered earlier. The most exciting part is audio. James, what's the audio trigger?
Well, every computer has a microphone, so we figured it's time to use it, So now when you create scenes or sequences, you can right-click the button in Live tab and assign that sequence to run according to the pulse of the microphone or the BPM that it's picking up.
Fantastic. And what MyDMX 3 does to make it even more intuitive is when you plug in your sound card, it'll actually allow you to select which sound card you would like to use for your audio trigger. This is really great, again, if you're doing a permanent install and the computer is way on the other side of the room or it's in back of house and you want to have the mic in a different area. So we're going to go ahead and grab this scene. I really want to show them what you can do with the color wheel. So as you described here, I can grab the color wheel on the 12p hex. I have my 12p hex open. There's the color wheel. Let me shut off the UV for just a second there. Oops, move that down for a moment. So again, you can grab the color wheel. I can go to the focus spot 3Z. There's no color wheel as far as, color or mixed color wheel. So you can actually just select the colors there. But one of the great things about MyDMX that it has is, I'm going to go ahead and grab all the fixtures. I'm going to right click on the wheel. So we have three different color wheels you can choose from. You have the classic, which is the one you see now. You can select your colors and then you can dim them up and down. And then we have our RGB color wheel, which is an RGB traditional color wheel. If you do video editing, this is going to look very familiar. But my favorite is the HSV color wheel. The HSV color wheel you may recognize from MyDMX 2.0 and 2.1 possibly. Obviously, you can select your colors here. We can select the amount of white that you can add in if you have a white LED. And, of course, you have your dimmer. But next to that color wheel, we have some solid colors. We've got that blue, purple. We have just the standard colors you would see in a moving head color wheel. James, can you explain to them what that color wheel will actually do?
The HSV?
Yes. When I move the color wheel around, what happens if I have, let's say my InnoSpot 3Z and my regular color, my 12Ps?
Yeah, because like when I make the profiles and I'm making the color slots for the color wheel, in the editor, you can pick those colors through RGB values. And so that is automatically linked to that general color picker. And so as you're color mixing RGB color mixing parts or whatever, it's also going to look for that value in the color wheel and it'll pop that on too. So it's really, really cool. I really like it.
Absolutely. So let me go ahead and real quick show you guys what he's talking about there. So we've got the lights right here. And you can see that as I go from that light blue to green, and I know it doesn't look right for some reason on YouTube it isn't looking quite right, but you can actually see as I move the color wheel and the colors are changing that the Focus Spot 3Z color wheel is matching the colors of the LED color mixing. That's a pretty big deal. I don't know any other software that has that at all, and at least not if that's available, at this price point. So that's going to definitely make your programming a lot easier. Since we're in the palettes window, and I'm kind of just showing, the palettes between the 12P and the focus spot, you can actually see, or you can click on these little shortcut buttons that take you to each spot. James, how would you describe palettes in MyDMX 3.0?
The palette area?
The palettes, yes.
That's basically, you have different views to get access to your DMX channels for your lights. The palette one is kind of a cleaner, more icon based as you're going through it area of controlling the channels, what they do, so you can see the icons to help you understand what you're going to be controlling, which preset you want jump to instead of moving a fader up and down. So I like it. I go to a palette view a lot for when I'm programming. I don't really use faders a whole lot much.
Now, James, if I make my own profile and I load pictures of the gobos in the profile, would it actually show it in the icon here instead of just gobo 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
Yeah, should. Yeah.
So that way we can.
I thought I updated that profile too.
Fantastic. I want to go ahead and we're going to grab the 12P hex for a second, James. And what I want to do is I'm grabbing just the 4 12Ps. And then when I click on it, almost looks like a little Space Invaders, but it says fan. Let's talk about the fan. We've got a linear fan from center, left, right, and sides. What would you describe the fanning as?
The fan is going to take a starting level and an ending level in the color wheel or any channel that you have selected for a fan. You can see there's a fan option on pretty much any channel. So you can create fans of gobos, fans of color wheels, fans of dimmer levels, whatever.
Yeah, I'm actually showing that right now. I'm just grabbing like where it says fan from the right. It's already on yellow. I'm going to grab on blue, and there's the blue there. And you can actually see it. You can actually see it happening live. It's pretty freaking cool. All right. And of course, we have where you can disable each individual switch too. So if you don't want to use your white, you can shut off the white. Uh,
You have
make
to go to HSV for it to work best.
Yeah. Let me go back over here, actually. Thank you. I am definitely a big fan of the HSV color wheel, and I recommend that you guys definitely play around with the HSV wheel. I prefer that over the traditional one, and I think you guys will too. You can actually see how the fanning works as I'm playing around with it live.
Works on all of them, really. So.
Okay, so now that we have that, let's go to the effects. One of the things that MyDMX was so great about was that it had some beautiful matrix effects. Let's talk about the matrix effects. I'm going to jump straight into that. I'm actually clicking on the matrix effects now as soon as I can find my mouse. And for those of you guys who are not familiar, the matrix effects, there it is with the moving heads. The moving heads, the 12 Ps. And you can see that it does exactly what the matrix is told to. We had a couple of really good effects on MyDMX 2.0. James, tell them the big advantage of 3.0 when it comes to the number of effects it has.
There's actually like 10 more new effects in the 3.0 effects gen. Just really cool stuff. Once you actually do the matrix effects, you'll notice like little gear in the window.
Yep.
And there's actually ways to like mirror horizontally and vertically the effect.
So I'm going to grab that real quick. So we've got a little gear. I got to move my effects toolbox pops up over here. So I'm going to click on mirror horizontally. There it is there. All right. And you can actually see. All right. So as James was talking about, there it is. You can see how it's being controlled live right there. You can select your repetition even. If you guys are familiar with Arceus, Media Master, or Grand VJ, this is very similar to that when you have your tiling effects, even right down to blurring it. So if you're doing a lot of pixel mapping and you want it to be a little bit softer from pixel to pixel, this is a great way of doing it. Another great thing that MyDMX has that some other software does not have is live effects. Now, what I mean by that is if I go on the bottom here, you're going to see where it says level meter. I don't know if my sound card is hooked up. Unfortunately, I don't think it is. Check, 1, 2. It is not. Poop. Let me see if I can log it in here. Hang on 1 second. Probably not because
live and pick the mic.
Thank you. Yep, hang on. I had to move that out of the way. Okay, so audio built-in input. There it is right there. So as I'm actually talking, I'm going to set it on manual here. Check, 1, 2. Check, 1, 2. Check, 1, 2. You can actually see that now I can do some really cool effects with MyDMX that go to the sound of music. The hills are alive with it, as a matter of fact. No, nothing? Not punny enough for you, James?
I don't know. I've been playing with it for like a year.
I know, right? So again, you do have some really cool stuff you can do. You can change the audio gain as well. So if you need to make it a little bit more or less sensitive, you also have your frequency shift. And we've all played with software at some point or another that goes to the sound of music. But this is an effect where the LEDs are acting like a live equalizer. And you can even change the colors of it. That's unprecedented in a DMX software of this price range. So that's pretty exciting. We also have a bar graph too. So there's the equalizer done in bar graph. This is not going to work that great with 4 LEDs, but if you're using, I don't know, how about the new 3D Vision? That's really going to show up nicely on that. I
love those.
Yeah, I'm telling you, this is going to be amazing. SLSS, he's got to go buy this thing. You absolutely do.
I saw that. Pick it up today.
And if you do it, guys, if you do it right now, send me a copy of your receipt, and I will send you James's home address. So that's pretty exciting there. Okay, so
I'll be moving.
Okay, so let's go ahead and we got our spiral here going on, and then I'm gonna go to this particular scene or on another scene over here. I have it saved. Now we have an option here. I can do a new scene, or I can include the set level or a new scene, or I can save it on a current scene. So I'm going to unselect it so it's saved on the current scene. Include set levels means that it's going to insert it into a current scene. So if you already have like 5 steps, it'll do it after whatever step you tell it on. So in this case, we're going to tell it. Sorry?
Or when I create new scenes, I make a new scene first, and then I go in and start making the effect. So if you've already made a new scene, then you just do uncheck new scene, include on current level. That way it starts at step 1. So that's what I do.
Exactly. And that's
Yeah.
That's personally how I do it as well. I find it much easier that way. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So we've got this new scene that we made, and all we got to do is click generate. However, we want to make sure, we want to make sure that's unchecked. You can also change the time again, just like your traditional MyDMX. We're going to click on generate, and there it is. I'm going to right click on this scene, or not right click, sorry. I'm going to click on this scene, go to the names, and we're just going to name this color swirl. I'm going to name this group 12Ps. And then I'm going to name this one focus. Focus. So now on the focus scene, we're going to create multiple effects. We're going to create on the focus scene tab. And you'll see that when I click on that, all 4 focus spots are selected. I want to go ahead and have my colors ready to go. So I'm going to have my shutter open, and we're going to turn our dimmer. And there's the focus spots right there. I'm going to go ahead and select a gobo. So we're going to go with gobo number 5. Gobo number 5 is very good looking. Gobo number 1 as the backup gobo, and then we can focus back and forth in between. But now if I go into our effects, we can add a curve or a pan tilt effect. So let's go ahead and add a pan and tilt effect. Guys, very similar to the original MyDMX. We can have a circle, we can have a line, polygon, random position, or a curve. So we're just going to do a circle. You can add the number of points and phasing value. This means that if you have multiple heads, you can have one following the other. It's almost similar to a fanning type effect. But with MyDMX 3.0, you can actually tell it basically how far apart those movements are going to be from one to the other. But I don't want to just do the pan and tilt effect. I want to add another effect. So I can go over here where it says add an effect, and we're going to add a curve effect. On the curve effect, we can select, I'll select sine wave, and then you can select which dimmers you want that sine wave to appear on. So in this case, James, what do you think we should do a sine wave effect on? We've got dimmer, we've got zoom, focus. What do you think?
Dimmer.
All right, let's do a dimmer. And you can actually see it right there. There's a dimmer going on and off. Well, I don't want that. That looks kind of boring. So I'm going to kick up the phasing. And there it goes. Look how it chases one after the other. So now we've got this really nice scene where the moving heads are going around in a circle and they're fading from one to the other. I'm going to click generate, but I want to make sure that I deselect new scene. And there it is right there. I'm going to click on that scene right there, and I'm going to rename it. This is going to be called Focus Chase. Done. Super easy. Now, once you have created all your scenes, and of course you can organize this however you want. James, is there a limitation by any chance on how many groups you can have and how many scenes you can have per group?
No, not.
So you can have multiple ones. That's pretty cool. So we're gonna go ahead and go into our next tab, and that would be live. Oh, and before I go to live, actually, I want to show you guys something. If you are going to have tons of lights and you're going to have, eventually a lot of different tabs, you want to see everything, and you've got 2 different computer screens, you can actually undock. Jump to the other computer screen. You can actually undock this so you can have your live in one page or your edit in one page, and then you can have your generators, you can have your faders, all of that on a whole different screen. And you can actually resize it. As you can see, I'm doing it there. So MyDMX 3 really takes advantage of 2 monitors, correct, James?
Yeah, or it takes advantage of one really large monitor too.
So let's go into the live. The live is pretty exciting here. First of all, again, you can select your individual group. So you can see here, there's the group there. As I click on the individual scene, I can right-click and choose how I want to trigger, or actually, we'll start with the shortcuts, right? We can have it triggered via DMX mapping, keyboard, MIDI, and port. Trigger, you can have it via time, BPM. So now you can tell it to move each step based on the beats per minute. or do the entire scene based on the beats per minute, or fade based on beats per minute, or you can have on pulse. So beats a minute. So if we basically have a twerk song, right? You've got your twerk song there. The song is not going to go to the individual clapping, but it's going to go to the overall time value. I prefer that. I think it looks smoother and less jerkier. But if you're doing a high energy EDM, that pulse, you're really going to one where you can do the step on pulse or scene on pulse or fade, and you can actually have it where it goes directly to the base of the song, and it gives you a much different feel as opposed to the BPM. And then, of course, you can even select your time signature. This is something that's pretty advanced. I mean, this is something I've always bragged about. Our sister company, Elation Compu Show, you can select the time signature. Having this on MyDMX is a pretty big deal because you don't see a lot of DJ-geared lighting software that allows you to select your time signature, whether you want it on 2111 or, down to 132, directly on your audio. And unlike other software, you don't have to right-click, go to properties, and then select your speed or your BPM. You just go right click and select it right then and there. But what's really great is that if you have tons of different scenes, and you want to be able to have a little bit of everything open, I can click on these arrows here. And when I click on the bottom arrow, it actually expands. And we see two expansion levels. We see our brightness, so you can actually dim that scene down. As you can see, I'm kind of doing it live there. Or you can speed it up or slow it down as well. All directly done from MyDMX. So again, I'm going to show you that right there. Actually, I got to open up the color swirl one more time. So let's do the color swirl. Hold on one second.
Yeah.
Okay, so on color swirl, we're just going to go over here. We're going to grab all of these because I did not turn on the dimmer. So we're just going to turn on the dimmer. There it is right there. And because I grabbed all of the steps, the dimmer affects all of the steps. Very easy to edit. So
Very, very easy. You can select like 300 different steps within like a second.
James, one of the things that I absolutely hate about editing in software or even in hardware is that if I need to edit a scene live, it's going to pretty much screw up whatever I'm currently playing. That was one of the things that I didn't care for about 2.0. Does MyDMX 3 have blind editing?
Yes, it does.
Ooh.
See his little sunglasses thing up there in the corner?
Yes, so I'm going to go to edit right here. You guys will see the sunglasses. So basically what blind editing means is that you can, like for example, if you realize, oh crap, that's the wrong shade of blue, but you don't want to interrupt your current scene, you can open that scene up, change it to the proper shade of blue, but it will not affect what you currently have in live. This is really important because now MyDMX 3 becomes a great busking program. Busking means that we're running things live. And when you're DJing, you're not pre-programming your whole sets. We're not David Guetta. This isn't EDC. This is a live event where people make requests live, and suddenly somebody asks for a slow song. You've got strobes going on. You want to be able to change it right then and there. MyDMX 3 really takes busking to a whole new level. So going back over here to the color swirl part on this particular group, I could basically have multiple scenes. I'm just going to make one more scene over here. Let's pretend this scene actually has something. Right now, I can only play one at a time in this particular group, but I can combine two groups together, as you see here. James, if I wanted to play two scenes from the same group together, could I do that?
You can. You just have to change the release mode.
So I'm going to just go ahead and select both scenes here, and here's the release. Okay, so this can get a little confusing, guys. You're going to have to play around with it a little bit to understand it better. But we have off, general, group, and all except group. James, tell me a little bit about what each individual release function does.
Well, the off group will let you stack within the same group of buttons. So, group one, and they're all set to off. They can stack each other.
Okay.
Then there's the general, which will release all except for the buttons that are set to general.
Okay.
Then there's the group, which is the default setting that you'll find. That's just it's one per group basically.
Okay.
Then there's all except group, which nobody really knows what exactly that's for yet. It's It's one of those extra things that, here, if you figure it out a use for it, great, let us know, but
Absolutely.
yeah.
So, one of the things real quick that I want to point out is that I am right now, I'm just playing with the blind editing and live and everything else. And I am still using a beta version, I believe. So you may see a little bit of weird artifacts or stuff right now. Not to mention that my computer is being bogged down like crazy. So let's pretend right now I have my stuff running, but let's pretend for some reason I did something stupid, which actually, funny enough that I say that, I think my computer just did. Let's say that something stupid happens and I accidentally close the software or it crashes. James, I really hate losing software or losing my show because the software crashed, right? I just force quit it to try to get it to crash. I was actually trying to get it to freeze, and that didn't do too well. Um, what
Um,
happens? I mean, that was one of the things, 2.0, if your software crashes, you lost your whole show.
well, there is a auto save function. It'll manually and automatically, not manually, but it'll save your show once a minute. And I had it running the whole time at LDI, and it worked just fine. It saved my stuff, backed up my stuff, and if it crashed, you were back to where you were the previous minute before it crashed.
Fantastic. That's exciting to hear. Okay, so again, we have our live options here. I'm not gonna open up the original scene. I'm just gonna open a couple dummy scenes here. Last is show. Now, James, how would you describe show? What exactly is the function of show?
Well, you remember Easy Remote?
Yes. And if you guys
Yes.
don't know Easy
Well,
Remote, what is Easy Remote?
so Easy Remote was the application you could use on your iPad or Android device, and you create a button layout basically for on the tablet, and then you would then link it to certain stuff in MyDMX too.
Okay.
Well, we've taken that to like a whole new level. Basically, go to the show function. You don't have to go to the show function. You just alt click on any button, fader, color mixing wheel, gobo channel, gobo,
So
whatever you want.
I'm gonna go to my live and I'm just gonna alt click on scene. Oh, there it is right there. Look at that. Ooh. I'm going to just click on this scene for a second here. And I'm just going to alt click again. And ooh, there it is right there. And it even keeps the color coding too. On the right-hand side of the live, you've got some, different functions, buttons, BPM ranges, and all that. And we don't want to cover everything on here because we'll be here talking forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. But as you know, we have our LTP functions. We can release the LTP so they go back to their normal functions. But on the very right-hand side, we've got this big dimmer. James, let's tell everybody the good news. What is so exciting about this dimmer?
This is the master dimmer.
So what is my master dimmer?
It will take everything that it has to do with intensity and bring it back down to zero. It's on.
That is awesome. James, I just did something that I don't know what I did. I accidentally full screened the entire app here, and I can't click anywhere to get out of it. This is perfect for permanent installs, but how do I get out of here?
You want the show function?
Yep.
Click on the screen button.
Yeah, I see the escape button. All right, there we go. So again, for those of you guys that didn't see there, you can full screen, or you can even separate it. So I can move this to a different window. So I undocked it.
That was not rehearsed. He really messed up.
Yeah, so we have our, and again, you can always, go into your, what's it called? Tooltips. We'll show you ahead of time what it does. There's the dock and undock. So I can actually move this to a whole different window. So we're going to dock it back in. There it is there. All right. I'm trying to remember what the heck I clicked that it did that.
You did full screen mode for show function.
There it is. Yeah, I did full screen, and yet for some reason now it's not full screening it, but
weird. We'll figure it out.
I did something wrong. Okay, anyways. So, James, I full screen it. This is great for a permanent install. But, people can easily hit the escape key. How do I keep a DJ from screwing the show up?
You can do full screen and lock it down. And if you have a touch screen, that's even better.
Whoa. So if I go to my preferences here, guys, check this out. we go to our general preferences, and you will see or you can reset your live password and reset your show password, so you can actually password protect your stuff on there. That's pretty exciting there. So basically, I can design a remote here, James. I can add different buttons to different things. I can manually add a fader. So if I do a fader, I can add a custom name. Let me move this over here. And we can do the association. We can change the height, width. You can do the color of the fader. So I can actually change the association, right? So we can do a general, and then you can select your group of scenes. Obviously, I don't have any fixtures patched, but if you have fixtures patched, you can actually choose the individual fixture. So you can make a gobo wheel. You can make a color wheel. What if I want to control a bunch of moving heads with my finger? How would I do that?
You alt-click the pan and tilt grid, and it'll show up.
Fantastic. Or, of course, you can manually add it over here. If I want to move buttons around, James, how can I move buttons around?
You have to go to the edit mode, then drag them around.
All right. And
it's the button in the upper left corner underneath the text that says general.
Let's see. There it is right there. So I can move this. I can basically create my own remote, which Easy Remote is fantastic. And
but we haven't told them the best part yet.
Ooh, what's the best part, James?
That if your app is already running, this stuff is automatically sent to your device.
No way. So
you don't have to send a file. It's automatically linked up if they're on the same network. You can literally see the buttons move around on the computer and your tablet and stuff at the same time.
Oh, that's fantastic. So let me see real quick if I can get it to come on mine, because my phone has been pretty misbehaved as of late. Let's see.
Because it's old.
Let me see if I can log this in here. And will MyDMX, because MyDMX 2 had Easy Remote, and there was a color wheel and Easy Remote, but the color wheel did not work. Will the color wheel now work on MyDMX 3.0?
Yeah, I don't remember it not working on 2.0.
All right, fantastic. So let me open that up here so they can see. I don't think my phone is going to connect today. It's giving me issues with the Wi-Fi network. All right, so I just click on the RGB color wheel. We're going to click OK, and there's the RGB color wheel. And you can also select the HSV wheel if you want to be one of the cool kids. And I guess apparently because my firewall is on so I can stream, I cannot show Easy Remote on my phone. But we're going to be doing videos on that pretty soon.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go ahead. I think we've pretty much covered the very basics of it. I think it's obviously, it's super exciting that we have blind editing, that you have your sound active, that you can stack your scenes. And again, it's a much, much more beautiful software interface. I think it's the best looking software interface out there right now. Even compared to some of the big board programs, this is easy to read. The black and gray dual tone make it very easy on the eyes to read, especially in a dark environment. And being able to have multiple universes, especially when you're talking about pixel mapping, with the new 3D Vision coming out, you're going to have multiple universes. That's the next big thing. So I guess we should go ahead and start taking some questions, right, James?
Yeah, also we have my 3D demo too, whenever.
Oh, actually, yes. How could I forget the 3D? That's the most exciting part. James, can you share your screen with me? While James gets this set up, I want to tell you guys about the 3D. Freaking gorgeous. There is a very, very well-known visualizer program out there, and I don't want to mention any names, but the 3D is, in my opinion, it's about just as stunning. I have never seen this much realistic beams in a free 3D program that comes with DMX software. So hang on one second, James. I am putting you on right now. All right, so we are where you can see jingles. All right. All right, James, I'll let you do all the talking. I'll shut up now.
All right, so I just built, it literally took me maybe, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes to build this rig. That's how fast and easy editing stuff is in the 3D now. You literally select, click, drop, and drag type deal. But we're going to go into all that in different videos. I just wanted to show you guys the layout real quick before I turn on the lights. So let's just go ahead and time to dim the house lights. And I'm just going to start messing around live on the fly with some of the stuff so you can kind of see what's going on. Turn on the beams, make everything center.
Oh, that's nice. And you know, one of the things is you guys can actually see the fog moving. James, keep those beams steady for just a second. Guys, look at this. You can actually see the fog moving around the room. Can you change the intensity of the fog or haze, James?
Yeah, there's a slider. There's a slider for beams, so it's kind of like how thick the fog is. And then the fog slider here is for kind of like how much of it can move around. Or if we go all the way off, it's almost kind of like how it was before, but still better. You know, I don't know.
Absolutely.
So this is like if your graphics is kind of chugging along. You can turn it off or lower it to make it easier on your computer and graphic card and stuff like that.
And I want to point out that James has this sorry graphics card on his computer, the Intel HD Graphics 4000. It's a very, very basic card, and you can see how smooth it's moving. But not only is it moving that smooth, it's even smoother than what it looks like because he's streaming to mine right now. So I'm only seeing maybe 15 frames a second. According to this, it's actually streaming at 12 frames per second. So
the 3D, I'm on best rendering quality. And if you look at my screen, I'm getting 32 frames per second. It even tells you FPS on the 3D screen. So that's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
So just kind of start messing around a little bit, getting some stuff in order. Let's go to here. Change up the color.
James, can you real quick go into the color split for just a second? I really want to show how detailed that 3D is when it comes to the color split.
Color split?
Yeah, so between the color wheel, when you go into color wheel, it shows the split in between.
Yeah, it does, but these are focus spots, so that the splits aren't built in, but try. Yeah. The color splits don't actually show up on the 3D right now, not in this version. It was just this one was just sort of a proof of concept for their new engine, so you can see the fog and stuff.
Absolutely.
It's coming up. It's coming up in about probably I'd say another month or so. They'll have to split colors back.
Well, no, I was gonna say I just saw the split colors there when you went go real.
Oh yeah, you can see them. The color picker will pick them up.
Yeah.
It's actually jumping in between, but you can do color splits.
So again, that's just one of the things that I kind of wanted to point out. If you guys look, I mean, it's a very fluid animation. It's not just jumping from color to color. It's actually showing you what the moving head would actually do.
Yeah, it's scrolling through the in-between colors like you would see on the actual fixture.
Yeah. This is beautiful. I mean, the movement of the fog and everything else, that is stunning. James, one of the things with MyDMX 2.0, and I know we've gone a couple of times around this question, is Google SketchUp was very, very popular that people could import their Google SketchUp images. If people wanted to import their own stuff to the 3D, can that happen yet? If not, when? And if so, how?
Yeah, you still can. It might have an update or something maybe for the program.
Okay.
It's still supported. You can still do it, definitely. If there's any issues with it, just let me know, and we'll try to help you figure it out. Definitely.
Absolutely. And guys, this is one of the really important things. And let me go on a tangent here about buying lights from, USA-based manufacturers companies like ADJ. That one of the advantages that they offer is that, as you can see here, James puts a lot of work into these profiles so you can actually see the gobos. But most importantly, when you have a proper manual with the right info, the more info you can put in when you make your own profile, the better. Information like how bright is the light, how wide is the beam, if there's a focus from what angle to what angle. And this is really important because when you're doing your 3D, it's going to give you the most accurate representation. The 3D here is absolutely stunning. You can actually see that when one beam hits the other, it actually shows you that cross pattern. And I'm just blown away by what I'm getting out of the visualizer that comes with MyDMX 3.0. I mean, guys, I do the software tutorials for a living, and even I was like, well, damn, I was not expecting the 3D to look like that.
Neither was I.
Yeah, we were very, very giddy about that. And, some of you guys that were on 2.0 remember that it took a while for the 2.1 to come out. Part of the reason was is trying to make this work with all computers. And it really came down to that it's impossible. What has happened the last few years with OpenGL and DirectX, or even the last couple of years with OpenGL and DirectX, will not happen with an older computer. So it's either, okay, the developers focus on newer computers, newer operating systems, and create a beautiful product, or create a more generic product that runs on older systems. In reality, if you're still using Windows XP, well, you may want to change your computer a little bit. That's my opinion. Not anybody else's opinion, just mine. But look what you get when you think that way. I mean, the 3D is absolutely beautiful. James, what does the camera button do here? I see on the top button there's a camera.
Where?
We're on the menu. There's file, and then there's camera, and then there's language.
Oh, camera. There is default camera view. There's front. There's left. Right there, you can see the numbers too. So if you hit, number 4 on the keyboard or num key, it should work.
Wonderful. Let's go to the last part about triggering, and that is DMX triggering. I've been saying that the whole time. One of the great things is because it does support multiple universes, you can select that universe to be an input or an output. Why would you want DMX in going to a DMX program? Well, if you have an older board, let's say, for example, I've got my show designer laying around. James, could I use my show designer as a control surface for MyDMX?
Yeah, DMX input.
Exactly. So what that means is, guys, that the show designer, right, if I'm on fader 1, and I have it, DMX 1, fixture 1, so it's channel 1, I could actually map channel 1 on my show designer to control a particular fader on MyDMX. So this makes it for easier programming and busking on the spot. So that is what the DMX trigger is for. You can now trigger shows with a traditional DMX board. Again, this is really good, especially if you're doing permanent installs, or you're working with like an old school LD or somebody that's, I've always used this board since 1995. Okay, well, listen, guy, we're going to upgrade you, but you don't have to get rid of your board yet. You can still use that board, and you can control most parameters on MyDMX 3 using your traditional DMX board. So that's pretty exciting there. So let me switch out of there, unless there's anything else you'd like to show them with 3D, James. God, that 3D is so pretty. It's so pretty. I'm jelly right now, honestly.
I don't know. I'm just going to keep playing with it. You do whatever you want,
All right. So let's switch over back to the webcams over here, and let's go and start taking some questions, because we are almost running out of time here. I know some of you guys are watching the Cubs, and I don't really care. So give me one sec here. Oh, man.
I stop sharing my screen?
Yeah, please stop sharing your screen. Yep. All right, there we go. Okay, so let's go to the very top part. We got some questions from Dustin, SLS. I'm going to go through the questions here. Some of them were asked already on Facebook. So give me 1 second here. We're going to pull these up. Oh, my goodness. My Facebook is like flooded with questions right now. Guys.
Brendan McKenzie. No.
Hold on, wait. Let's go from the very beginning here. First of all, if you guys are asking questions on Facebook, stop it. All right. We've already answered a lot of these, right? Will MyDMX work on 2? No, but MyDMX 2.1 will work on a 2.0 box. How many scenes can we stack? We've already answered that. We don't know. Meaning pretty much as many as you want. Let's see. Does this have the same 3D as the new one in MyDMX 2.1?
Say that again. Sorry.
Is this the same 3D as MyDMX? Okay, let's ask it backwards. If you have MyDMX 2, you just saw this gorgeous, or the 2.0 box, you just saw this gorgeous 3D. Do you have to immediately go out there and buy a brand new interface to have the 3D, or can you have that same 3D interface in MyDMX 2.1?
It is the same 3D.
Holy freaking crap, Lewis. That's awesome. All right. So, let's see here. I don't really want to go too much into pricing, so we're not going to go too much into the pricing, but of course you can upgrade your buddy to work with MyDMX 3. You can get the yearly license, or you can get a license that lasts forever. Why would you get a yearly license? Like, just get the one that lasts forever. Cheaper. much cheaper. So let's go ahead.
On the store.
Let's go ahead and go through some of the comments and questions. Yo, that is not a question, Nick Pagan. I'm so sorry. You have lost. No. Okay, SLS Sound and Light Sorcery. Dude, that is a awesome name. Sound and Light Sorcery. Do you manually do the call to action buttons in the beginning? If you could explain what you mean by call to action buttons, that could have several definitions. Starving Artist Lightning asks, is the 2.1 interface and the 3 identical? We already did answer that, actually. So we're going to skip that one. And again, if you guys did not see that, please make sure to rewind the video. Tim asked about the sound function. We did cover that. Cue the Jeopardy theme. No, we fixed the audio, so yay for that. All right. No audio. I'm still depressed. My 2.0 is basically poopy. No, it's not. You have now 2.1 that you can run on 2.0. Let's see here. Do the chase scenes, as Aaron Hall asks, do chase scenes work off the index number instead of going by DMX channel number? So when the road crew hangs lights out of order, you can adjust it in the software.
Yes, that's what the index number is basically for. You just simply, if you're already running the effect and you're noticing it's playing backwards, you can literally keep that playing and just reselect by, I think it's Control left click the fixtures in the order that you want the effect to follow, and then it'll update as you're selecting the fixtures. It's really easy.
That's
something that you get in CompuShow.
Yeah, is that just during programming, or can you do that during live too?
I don't know if you could actually change the order of the chase live after it's already been recorded.
Yeah.
Let's test it later.
Yeah, we'll have to test that later, guys. That's a much more advanced feature. So basically, you know, what I recommend is, Aaron, and this is what I do with my events, because I have my guys all the time, they hang it wrong. I actually put stickers with the DMX address and the index number. Basically, okay, you got to hang it this way, and that definitely makes it easier. But for programming, reprogramming the spot, yeah, for sure, as James just said. SLS says a lot of this reminds him of competitor software, but this looks much better. You're dang right, this looks much better. And not just from MyDMX to competitor software, but from MyDMX to even the old version of MyDMX, or heck, you know, I mean, I use and I love CompuShow, but I love how 3.0 looks. It's clean. Everything's in one spot. You can use it with one monitor, no problem. And I much prefer the white text on black. You know, I think that's a little bit more of a cleaner look, easier to read. What do you think, James?
I love it. I mean, if you have a 23-inch touchscreen monitor and you run the software full screen, you set up your buttons and stuff good, yeah, you're poking me in the eye. You can basically have a touchscreen console at your fingertips. So it's really, really cool stuff.
Awesome. Oscar Suarez says, so I can create a scene of movements on one set of BPMs and on a fixture, and a second scene of colors to a different BPM and run them together. Well, it's going off the same BPM clock though, but I guess if you're doing the BPM tap, that would be different, right?
Well, he could do the different timing too, and the different timing will respond differently.
Awesome.
I think.
Well, that also means that also means then that I could have a scene where the movement is going to the BPM, and then I can have the dimmers go into the pulse. So you can create some really dynamic scenes.
I don't know if you can run tap and pulse at the same time.
Well,
there's different.
Let's you know what? Let's look here. Let me look here, because that's actually a good question. So if I right click on group 1 and I click on triggering, I'm going to select BPM, step on BPM. Which there's no microphone coming in here. So give me 1 second. Let me choose the mic. Check. So you can see the scene that's playing there. Well, maybe. So we have a scene there that would play. Oh, that's because there's no steps in that scene. Oh, hold on. Let's add just a whole bunch of steps. Let's see. Fader. I got to patch some 12Ps or something. 12P. There we go. Patch. There it is right there. So we've got our 12P. All right. Now we've got this step here. And I'm going to hit stop for just a second. We're just going to add a whole bunch of steps. Going to add on the second scene over here. We're going to add a whole bunch of steps. All right. We have our live. So there's our scenes playing. It's going on BPM. So boom, 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 boom. All right. 132 BPM there. Now I'm going in this scene. And this scene, I'm telling it, James, to trigger on time. So that scene is working independently of the other scene. But I'm going to go to BPM pulse. I'm going to tell it to do step on pulse. Yep, sure enough, I can have one scene, BPM pulse, another BPM step.
Nice.
That's awesome. That is great. Let me real quick show you guys that so you can see. Sorry, I forgot to switch the screens. My apologies. You can actually see right here, triggering BPM step. And then I did it over here, triggering BPM pulse. And we're going to do step on pulse. And there it is. So it's like boom, 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 boom. See? Look at that. So
just a whole live stream of you beatboxing.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. Hey, that's awesome. Never thought I would have seen that in MyDMX. All these times we kept saying, no, MyDMX doesn't run that. And look at that. That is great. That's exciting. That makes me all happy and warm and giddy inside.
Are you going to use it, Arnaldo, at a gig?
I'm actually going to use it. Oh, yeah, I'm going to use it. Actually, you know what's funny is I have one of my clients has like 3 or 4 MyDMX 2.0 boxes because they love MyDMX and they don't want to use anything else. I'm like, look, if you don't want to go bigger, upgrade to the new 3.0 and just watch. So let's see here. Dana Machado, good evening. My name is Danny Stage Light and Sound. My email is I would like to exchange ideas. Okay, this is not the form for that. Sorry about that. SLS asked if there are macros. If you can please let us know what you mean by macros because there's multiple definitions of that. Dean asked, guys, just going back to universes, can you use other manufacturers' dongles along with the ADJ dongle or ArtNet? As far as physical DMX or physical DMX USB, no. ArtNet, James. Currently, no, correct?
Sorry, what?
For ArtNet, can we do ArtNet if you have an existing MyDMX3 dongle?
We are looking into it, but when I plug in the ArtNet device on my network, it shows up in the preferences. So we're looking into it.
So,
right?
Yeah, basically, I think this is a dilemma, guys, and I'm speaking unofficially here. I mean, you can see.
So am I.
Yeah. You can see. In your ArtNet device, the ArtNet device will not work. That part has not been coded in yet. I think the question is, how do we do this without making it too complicated, because this is made to be easy to use, easy to understand. And ArtNet really goes beyond that. For those of you guys that know, ArtNet allows you to run multiple DMX universes over an ArtNet, or basically Cat5 cable. So if we have our DMX dongle and let's say an Elation eNode 4, we could, or an Easy Cling, we could basically have another DMX universe. The eNode 4 gives you 4 DMX universes out of one Cat5. Right now, that is not supported. We don't know what the future holds. We've got a new chip. We've got a new software. There's a lot of great stuff that we can do.
We'll see.
So, yeah, for now, we're going to say no. But rest assured, James and I have been talking. There's nothing we can really do from the developer side of things. But, like James said, we're looking into it. We're not going to tell you no. We're not going to tell you yes. We're going to tell you we don't know. ADJ is really surprising everybody here. Oscar Suarez says, can you create a button to trigger multiple scenes? So I guess that's what, SLS meant by macro. Can I have one button that triggers multiple scenes, James?
Yeah, you can create a group of empty buttons, but they all have a jump to point, and you can stack jump tos. I showed that briefly in my video that I did yesterday, I think.
Okay.
So you can almost kind of have like a master page.
Can I have
yeah.
Can I have one button on show trigger multiple scenes, or is it one button per scene?
No, you can have one button to trigger multiple scenes.
Fantastic.
And other groups, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
So like fast stacking, pretty much. Instead of clicking one by one, just click one button, boom, they all go at once.
Absolutely awesome. Okay, so next one here, Sinista asks, I know this is asking a lot, but will there be plugins for VDJ or Serato for synchronized shows? Currently, that would be a no, correct?
I'm sorry.
A plugin to have virtual DJ or Serato control MyDMX. Currently, that would be a no, right?
I don't believe so.
No.
I mean, if you get the MIDI upgrade, you might be able to do MIDI time code in.
Well, exactly. Actually, yes, because we'll go over it later in the video, but let me go into the preferences here. I want to show you guys a couple of different things. Give me just a moment. All right. Bear with me for just a moment here. This is actually really important because there are a couple of things that you need to know. As you can see, there is MIDI in and there's MIDI out. Now, this is different than MIDI feedback. This does have MIDI feedback. MIDI feedback basically says that if I move a fader up and it's a motorized fader, like on the MIDICom Pro, that fader would move up. Or that particular, light on top of the fader would turn on. Or if there's a, like the MIDICon, there's little buttons on top of the faders. Well, with MyDMX, it wouldn't actually give feedback to that. Now it does. But you also have MIDI output, so you could technically output that MIDI signal into something else. And I did try that with my laser software, and I was able to make a scene trigger my laser software with that MIDI output. But below that is MIDI clock. We will be doing much more info on that later on. We're not saying if it's for time code yet.
You will be, not me.
Yeah. We'll go over that much later on. But let's just say there is a MIDI clock there. That's going to give you a lot more opportunity moving on down the road. But as far as synchronizing virtual DJ, Sinister, this is what I would personally do. I would, obviously I use MIDI. So if I have, like, for example, I have my rear loops and I have buttons on my rear loops. I have buttons that trigger cues, but you can also have those buttons trigger your scenes too. And you could even do line in from virtual DJ. So if you have what we call a loop back plugin, which is a plugin that takes the audio from, a program and brings it back into another program. You can have the audio from Virtual DJ or Serato going into MyDMX without having to use a physical cable, and you'll get perfect sound and obviously perfect sound to light because of that. Dustin Clemens asks, I just tuned in. Did you say it'll do multi-universes? Yes, you need multiple boxes or buddy dongles, but yes, it can. Brendan McKenzie, Jingles, can you make 50 new Chinese profiles for me? Obviously, he's saying that tongue-in-cheek.
Within 2 months, maybe.
Please stop buying Chinese imported stuff. First of all, if you really think that you're going to get the exact same product that you would from somebody that owns a factory in China, which are two totally different things, you're not. But more than anything else, those manuals that come with those fixture or those Chinese imported, direct imports are not accurate at all. So James is trying to figure out, first of all, a terribly translated manual, but half those, manuals are incorrect. So you're going to get an incorrect profile, not because of James or anybody with the ADJ team, but because you decided to buy a light directly from China and you get stuck with what you get stuck with.
So let me give a real quick example.
Sure.
Somebody sent me a Sharpie beam profile request. The manual listed Gobo channel. Gobo's open through 14, 0 through 127. No breakdown of Gobo 1, 0 through 3, Gobo 2, 4 to 5, etc. Then he goes, then he asked me, well, why don't my Gobos show up in the 3D? I go, well, I don't know those values. I can't know these things unless they're in the manual. So if you guys want actual good profiles that I will literally take my already pressed for time and make them really nicely for you. Maybe I'll even hunt down the actual Gobo artwork if you send it to me.
Exactly. So
buy our lights, support our stuff.
And that's I just hate making profiles in general. I couldn't even imagine for a non-branded fixture. So SLS asks, actually, let's go back up over here. Dustin asks, does the 3D show with ClingNet? And that's not a question. I'm guessing you mean, does the 3D show work with ClingNet? No, ClingNet's a different technology. This is DMX, not ClingNet. You could technically
use DMX and to control pixels on the software through the Easy Clink.
Yes, or you could do the record too. And we'll go over that much later on. How do you do easy DMX in? Well, DMX in is just done with you could use it with the box, or I could do it with a buddy. So if I have my buddy over here, I just get a gender changer, and I have my buddy, I have my MyDMX dongle, And now my buddy can be my DMX in. Very easy.
I have not personally tested DMX in yet. I just want to make that point clear off the bat.
Yeah, no, we have not fully played with that yet, but we will for sure. Do you manually speak in the beginning of the stream? Huh? What does that mean? I don't get it. Can you clarify that? All right, so let's see. One button to activate multiple scenes. Yes. Trevor Kirchenheiter. I am so sorry. I'm going to screw this up. Trevor Kirchenheiter asks, I'm looking at CompuShow 3.0 and MA.2 on PC, and I'm not sure which to go with. I'm using a buddy currently. Well, if you got a buddy, yeah, go with 3.0. However, I don't want to speak about CompuShow because I'm a huge CompuShow fan, but these are two very different softwares. I will be doing a video later on discussing the differences between MyDMX and CompuShow. I use both. So I'll give you a pretty good comparison in between. We'll have James join us for that too. That's my dog. He's asking a question, and the question is he going to go to Michael Vick's house? The answer is probably yes. Let's see here. Next, we have... I'm not terrible. Daniel asks, send your email so I can get your opinion which way to go as far as software to make my show more cool. Daniel, I'll tell you right now, MyDMX 3.0. That's what we're doing that stream right now. Guys, please don't ask me to send you my email. Just ask me here. Don't make my life more complicated. Love you all. David asks, I just downloaded MyDMX 3.0. Okay, great. Way to go, bud. Hit that purchase button. And then we're going to wrap these questions real soon. So let's end the questions now. Guys, is there much more in the way of pixel mapping in the software, or is it fixture profile specific? You know, it's not profile specific in the sense that you don't have to have a 3-channel fixture, for RGB. But I can go into, like, for example, my effects, and I can have just a static pixel effect. Or we have the matrix effects, and you can combine different types of floods. And I've done videos on this. We'll go over that more as well. Let's see here. Oscar asks, is there a fixture creator in this software? Yes, I believe it's the same one from 2.1, but it's a heck of a lot faster, right?
Same one.
Okay, cool. Well,
Scan library editor. That's what you're looking for.
Okay, it loaded faster on mine, but that might just be because I have a different computer on this one. But
yeah, it loads up way faster now.
Yeah. Let's see here. Did you guys go over the audio portion of the software? Yes, we did. Please make sure to watch the video. And SLS asks, in the beginning of stream, you say stuff like the stream will start shortly. Yeah, the stream has been going on for the last hour and a half. I don't get the question. So I don't know what the question is, sir. I'm sorry. So, other than that, we do have to wrap it up. James, anything else that you would like to add, sir?
I mean, it's just a really good software. It's brand new. If you check it out, you run into an issue, please forgive us. It's just the first version of something entirely new, a next generation, a next leap. Just let us know. We'll try to fix it for you. Don't be like, oh, this sucks,
Absolutely. And again, if those of you guys are saying, oh, I have a 2.0 box, I can't use it anymore, please watch the beginning of that stream where we go over the new chipset, why, how, and, how it all comes together. Yep. Other than that, guys, make sure you go on Facebook. There's a couple of things we'd like you to do, please, since you tune into this awesome live stream. We appreciate it. But a couple of things. One, make sure you hit the subscribe button because I like YouTube ad money. Two, go on Facebook right now and search MyDMX discussion group. And it's pretty much around-the-clock support from either Jingles, myself, other members. There's tons of great people there, all helping each other. So you definitely want to join that. You definitely want to like the MyDMX page. Again, we'll be posting James's home address as well as his allergies in a couple of minutes.
I'll be moving shortly after.
So we will let you guys know about that. But other than that, make sure you click the subscribe button and the thumbs up. Now, if you click this, that's going to make your grandma sad. We don't want that. So click that button. On behalf of James, myself, obviously the guys at ADJ, the developers, the co-developers, the guys that beta tested it, the little hamsters running on the wheels, and everybody else involved with MyDMX, we'd like to thank you all for tuning in. We'd definitely like to thank you all for your support.
Thank you guys so much.
James, anything as official ADJ? Is there anything that you would like to say specifically to everybody? Anything exciting for them to know? I think we covered it all.
This is just the beginning.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And guys, as James said, This software just came out. There are already more options and ideas and stuff out in the works. However, when you're at home, play with it, spam it, which means push every button, try to overload it, try to make it crash. And if you do make it crash, let us know so we can make
Load
the
up
software better
5
each time.
universes of RGB pixels.
Yes, do it.
5.
Just stress the heck out of it. We really want to know what you can do with MyDMX 3.0. Beautiful software, much easier to use, and much more features. So thank you all so much for tuning in. Have a great evening, good night, and God bless.